And secondary today, we're doing Mamdani melts down after Eric Adams drops out.
Nearly 4 years ago,
Okay, it was his
Gracie
audio.
Mansion became my home. Who would have thought that a kid from South Jamaica, Queens, growing up with learning disabilities, could one day become the mayor of the greatest city in the world? I cannot thank my mother enough.
I mean, he's kind of ruined that greatest city. Him walking out a trash can and putting a bag in it was all I needed to know about this guy to know he's absolutely stupid. When that was his, oh, this is how we're gonna deal with the trash in our streets. We're gonna put it in barrels. Like, no, you just need maybe a few more trash trucks during the day, during the week, cleaning that shit up. Like, yeah, I get the barrels to put it in, because then you can get the cool fancy trucks that grab it and dump it themselves and put the barrel back. Those are much better, I'd say, because then you don't have any guy actually standing out there doing back-breaking work and maybe ripping a bag and having to clean a whole bunch of shit up.
For instilling in me the values she lived by. I hope every parent can use my life as an example for their child during challenging moments. Only in America can a story like this be told. When I was elected to serve as your mayor, I said these words: this campaign was never about me. It was about the people of this city, from every neighborhood and background.
So look, I'm going to link this full Mayor Eric Adams announcement in the description of this video.
Yeah, I don't think we need to see it. He speaks so slowly, I may have to put him at 2x speed.
Highly recommend that you guys actually watch it for yourself, because it actually opens with Mayor Eric Adams playing Frank Sinatra's I Did It My Way song as he's coming down the stairs, which I had to remove from the video in order to avoid a copyright claim.
Yeah, that's also why I will not be doing it. I do not want to have copyright claims if ever monetization hits.
But the rumors are true. The news is actually fact-based. Mayor Eric Adams is absolutely done.
Speaking of monetization, hit the subscribe button for both me and Actual Justice Warrior. He makes good videos. Hit the like button while you're down there too.
As New York City mayor, he is dropping out of the race, and this is due in large part to the fact that his campaign is in complete and utter shambles. Now, we talked about this for a while on this channel. In fact, when many people were saying that every candidate needed to drop out to get behind Eric Adams, I was one of the few people on the internet.com who was actually realistic about this, who pointed out that Mayor Eric Adams has the least likely chance of winning the mayorship. And this is because he is completely underwater due to the numerous scandals that he was in, and this weird situation with the Trump administration where the case ended up getting dropped against him, which, by the way, was a bribery case and, of course, a campaign finance violation case, was not going to help him. He was polling behind the Republican, behind Andrew Cuomo, and, of course, behind the communist Islamist Zora Mamdani. So there was no way, even if all the candidates dropped out, that Eric Adams was going to pick up enough support in order to become the mayor of New York City again. The guy blew it. He's an absolute goofball, and nobody should be surprised about this particular outcome. And this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
And yet, despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue.
I have to actually question if this dude has something wrong up here, because the guy speaks like this. And then in my youth, I came into this place. No, talk like a normal person. Normal people don't speak that slowly.
My re-election campaign, the constant media speculation about my future, and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's reading off a teleprompter.
Ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign.
And he's reading off a teleprompter of a speech he's never even read once before.
I hope that
That's
over
what it
time,
feels like.
New Yorkers will see this city thrive under our leadership, and that policies we put in place should be continued and expanded.
So what Mayor Eric Adams is alluding to right there is the fact that in New York City elections, we actually have small donor public financing sort of matching, which of course Eric Adams' campaign was denied this last go around. And the reason why he got denied this matching funds thing is due to the fact that he had a scandal that he was indicted for where he was essentially scamming the city out of these funds. Because
what? A politician scamming his own people? That would never happen.
the way this basically works is that if you get about $250 or lower in terms of contributions, the city of New York, aka the taxpayers, will actually give you matching funds to make that $1,000. Or I believe they'll give you $1,000 for those small dollar donations. So essentially, it's a 4x match in order to kind of balance the scales, allegedly, and make it easier for people to run for election when they don't have a lot of money. And if you guys will remember, one of the things that Eric Adams was indicted for was apparently a bunch of different Turkish figures were donating money to him in the exact proper amount to get the maximum match, and that ended up defrauding the city of New York throughout years of about $10 million in matching campaigns.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Campaign funds. So despite the fact that Mayor Eric Adams this go around went to the New York City campaign board and said the following:
give me the money. Give me the money.
Me the money.
Okay?
In reality, they were going to put a lot more scrutiny on the money that he was raising, and they decided not to award him those funds. And this effectively ended up killing his campaign, even more so than the fact that his campaign was not going anywhere in the first place, due to the fact that there was numerous corruption scandals in his administration, including personal corruption scandals that Mayor Eric Adams was facing. And one of my favorite ones is when Eric Adams was actually raided by the FBI, and he said that he didn't have his phone on him, and because he's the mayor of the city of New York, they did not conduct a search on him at that period of time. But then when Mayor Eric Adams turned over his phone the next day, they had discovered that he changed his PIN code that evening from a 4-digit PIN code to a 6-digit PIN code, supposedly to stop his staffers from deleting crucial evidence, which again is very odd for him to say.
No,
but then when they asked for the PIN code,
he fully lied.
Mayor Eric Adams, in his infinite genius, decided to say that he forgot the code that he had just changed his phone to.
Who would have thought that a kid from South Jamaica, Queens, growing up with learning disabilities could...
I can tell he has learning disabilities now. You know? I must have missed that in the first run of that speech. He was talking so slowly. Like, sheesh. That's a little ridiculous.
One day become the mayor of the greatest city.
Maybe he shouldn't have been the mayor of the city.
Adams talks about
he seems like he was a DEI hire.
Growing up as a kid with a learning disability that became the mayor of the city of New York, I don't think he quite overcame that learning disability, if I'm being perfectly honest. Now, of course, people want to know how this impacts the overall race for mayor, and the thing that people need to understand is that the early polling indicates that this is not that much of an impact.
I have a feeling Zoran Mamdani is going to take New York because they're so anti-Trump that their derangement syndrome is going to give them a mayor who, let's be real, is not for America. He is anti-American in every way, shape possible. He is going to financially bankrupt New York City. He's going to cause mass amount of people moving out of the city. Rents are going to go way up because how is he going to fund those supposed free rent-free freezes and free rents that he wants to give people? It's like, you are the most expensive city in the United States. That is the most expensive state overall, with its everything, along with California being up there too. But we're not on California focus, we're on New York focus, so I'll stick to that one. But you get like extremely high rent for certain apartments, where in other states that could be like 50% more than your mortgage payment. That could literally be everything for the house, and then some. And then some. Some extra twice. It's like, oh yeah, here's some extra money from what we used to pay in rent. Oh, and where'd this come from? Oh, that's also extra we used to pay in rent.
Sure, Andrew Cuomo's numbers go up a little bit, but according to the polling, it appears that Zoran Mamdani actually holds a 14-point lead over Andrew Cuomo.
Yep, that's what I thought. The Republican candidate actually has more percent than I thought they would. I was expecting under 10. Not bad. Maybe those numbers will change. Maybe New York will surprise us in their election, and these polling numbers are as false as they were for the last year's presidential election, where I don't think I saw a single poll before the presidential election that wasn't on Fox News that said Trump was going to win. I think every single poll said Kamala was going to win, and it was like not even close. Like the numbers were going to, like, whoop, and she was going to have everything, and it was like literally the opposite happened. She didn't win more votes in any county. She lost votes than Biden. Biden beat her in every single county 4 years prior in votes. That is saying something that the Democrat Party is in big trouble. But I hope New York can get their head out of their ass, save their own cities, save their state, and not vote Mamdani. Cuomo is not much better, but maybe this Lewa candidate for the Republican Party will help them out. It's like, maybe. We'll see what happens.
However, we have to see how this plays out a little bit more, because it's one thing for voters to think about a hypothetical Eric Adams dropout of the race. It's another thing for us to actually see where that support ends up going, but it's also crucial for people to understand that Eric Adams was only polling at 7% of the electorate.
Yeah, his percent wasn't even that high anyway, but that 7%, if put towards certain candidates, could actually turn the tide.
At the time that race went down. So if he ends up giving all of his support to Andrew Cuomo, none of it goes to Sliwa, none of it goes to Mamdani, that still will not close the gap. And this has led a lot of people to say that Sliwa has to drop out next. And the reason for this is because people believe that Andrew Cuomo is the only person who can come within striking distance of Mamdani in order to prevent this socialist from taking office. And again, it shows us the absolute shambles that the Democratic Party is in, because on the one hand, you have Andrew Cuomo, history of corruption, all sorts of other problems, and then on the other hand, you have...
It's bad versus evil. It's like, oh shit, what are we going to do here with this option? Like, I don't want to spend the next 6-ish, 8, or whatever amount of years hearing about New York, and now they have problem after problem after problem with their new mayor, how crime's up everywhere, how everyone's homeless is up, how people can't afford anything, and every store is closing. It's like, yeah, obviously if he tries to get those government-run grocery stores, they're going to look like the ones in the Soviet Union. They're going to be empty. It doesn't work.
Mamdani, a socialist, so inherently corrupt, somebody who's running on giving illegal aliens $100 million in attorneys in order for them to fight against deportation cases, and of course all these other...
I hate that he has that in there at all. Like, if he wants that $100 million, he should go steal it from his home country.
There's stupid, ridiculous policies that are going to be absolute boondoggles that he wants to pay for by raising taxes on what he says right now is the rich, but
in reality, it'll be tax on everybody in the state. Every single person in the state will be paying a far larger amount of taxes. So many of you will lose your homes, lose your jobs, lose your livelihoods. You'll have to move or become homeless on the street, living in Central Park.
In reality, because you need statewide permission for the specific taxes he's saying that they're going to raise right now, he's going to raise taxes on everybody. He's going to drive business.
Because all of a sudden, if he increases taxes on the rich, wealthy people, he specifically says the rich white people in some of his campaigning material. He literally wants to raise taxes and rates and raise money from rich white people, which all of a sudden the only thing he's going to have happen is all those people are going to leave. They're going to go to like Florida or something. like where they can keep every dime they got. They're going to go to Texas, where they, all of a sudden they have a lot lower of money to, they have a lot more money in their pocket at the end of the day. They're going to just leave New York. He's just going to have mass migration out of New York to where he's going to have a whole bunch of empty houses, empty buildings. It's going to become a ghost state.
Away, and he's proposing a bunch of crazy, stupid boondoggle policies, like the fact that he wants the public sector to build most of the housing.
I already told you about my commitment to freeze the rent for every single rent-stabilized tenant. That covers about half of all New York City rent.
Rent freezes don't work, because then landlords are less incentivized to fix things in a good manner. They might fix things to the bare minimum, and then you get what everybody calls a slumlord. Because, well, now that's all they got. And, well, at that point, nothing happens. No houses are good. You have nothing good. Everything's going to fall apart. He's going to ruin that city.
Renters. But what about the other?
And I don't know why Caleb Hammerin wants to move part of his team there. That's the crazier part. He was like, him on his live stream, he was like, yeah, we're probably going to move there. And it's like, they're serious about it. I'm like, man, if I want to go on that show at all, if I ever have a story that's different in a different way, positively than most of his guests, it's like, I don't want to go to New York.
We need more housing. A lot more. As mayor, I'll build 200,000 new, permanently affordable, union-built, rent-stabilized homes over the next 10 years.
Where? Where are you going to put these? Whose land are you going to steal or buy or use? Are you going to tear down old buildings and make bigger ones? What are you going to do? How are you going to do that?
Tripling what we're currently set to build. Any 100% affordable project gets fast-tracked. No more pointless delays.
And I don't know why he thinks making these videos while standing out in the middle of, like, graffitied area, where at least it's good-looking graffiti. It's nice artwork, actually, instead of just gang tags. So, yeah, but, like, I don't think he'd go to the areas with gang tags. Like, I think he'd do much better just doing these out of his office, walking around those buildings where it looks a little nicer.
We're going to unleash the public sector.
And by
that way he can make people feel, hey, it's going to look like this when we're done. It'll look nice, and he can actually talk it up. Even though it won't, it'll look like garbage.
the way, we know what the goal is that Mamdani has, which is essentially for the government to take more control over the housing market, despite the fact that New York City's biggest landlord is already the city of New York.
Go further toward the Vienna model. We'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale. And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects that offer...
Yeah, where your house is identical to your neighbor's, your apartment is the same, and you're, living in little teeny box houses because they're all built super cheaply. Like, he's literally talking and trying to do what the Soviet Union tried and failed doing.
Good homes and strong communities to everyone.
Socialism and communism never works. It always fails.
We won't decommodify housing overnight, but we know what we have to do, and we have history to guide us.
So yeah, Mamdani is an absolute disaster. He's completely pissed, but unfortunately, it looks like the city of New York is destined to elect an Islamicist, terrorist-supporting socialist to be the mayor because the Democrats only...
What happened to never forget 9/11, New York? What happened? What happened to you guys? You guys forgot. Did we make too many 9/11 jokes? Am I a part of that problem slightly for making some of those jokes throughout my years? I'm sorry, New York. This is all our fault. No, it isn't. It's your fault. You're gonna elect a freaking socialist.
The other alternative that they put forward was former Governor Andrew Cuomo. And in fact, Governor Kathy Hochul has recently endorsed Mamdani, again, selling out because she has a tough gubernatorial race ahead of her, trying to get that endorsement from him. And it's an absolutely pathetic display. And we see Mamdani is really angry about this. So maybe his internal numbers are different from the polling that we see publicly.
You know, it is something that has been rumored for quite some time that this would be the month, this would be be the week, this would be the day, and today we've finally seen it. Yet it is also an encapsulation of so much of what has characterized Eric Adams' mayoralty, is decisions at the behest of Donald Trump and his billionaire donors.
Trump bad. Trump bad. Trump bad.
But again,
Yeah, that's all he's got is Trump bad. We go against what Trump's doing, which, if you look at Florida, Ron DeSantis has actually said, yeah, if I want to run my state successfully, I look at New York and California and I do the opposite and it keeps working. Like, imagine that. Your state is being used as an example of what to not fucking do to run something successfully.
unless some other miracles end up happening and breaking
Like, I even heard Ron DeSantis was trying to get the property tax cut or even fully eliminated in Florida, which would be awesome because, you know, Florida's got a large percentage of the elderly, old people, seniors, where they're on a limited income and not having to pay property tax anymore. That would free them up a good chunk of money, especially if they have already fully paid off the home they own down there and everything, and they have no other real bills. Then they just got their water, electric, you know, home utilities and such, and buying their groceries, and it's like they're pretty set chilling. And then they can retire a little more relaxed and peacefully.
in favor of either Sliwa or Andrew Cuomo. In reality, it looks like Mamdani is going to win this election with the plurality of the voters. Now, make no mistake about it, if Mamdani wins, things are going to get absolutely terrible. The guy is a defund the
100%.
police type of candidate.
New York is about to become a hellhole, falling apart from the inside out if Mamdani wins. And he probably will, sadly, because so many of his voters are anti-Trumpers, and they only have that one thing. I do have the question of, what is the left gonna do after Trump's second term is done, and he doesn't run for a third term for them to argue and fight him and call him a dictator, and J.D. Vance is the new president? What, are they going to have Vance derangement syndrome all of a sudden? Are they going to call him a Trump plant and just keep doing this for 8 more years? Like, I don't know what to do here. It's got me on the sidelines looking in, just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We need to do something here. But what? What can we do?
He wants to create a whole separate department of social workers in order to interact with criminals. And as we saw under Bill de Blasio, when these policies were undertaken, along with a bunch of statewide terrible policies like bail reform, less is more, and raise the age, by the way, policies that Zohran Mamdani at the statewide level, when he was actually showing up for work, which was less than 50% of the time, fought to.
What? He had less than 50% attendance at his job? Why wasn't he fired? Any job I've ever worked at, if you were absent that much, they would fire your ass on the spot. You would be ineligible for unemployment because you basically willingly unemployed yourself. Like, come on. If you want to have a part-time job, go get a part-time job. If you want to be off half the time. But if you're going to be a member of society, you're probably working full-time or more than.
Preserve, crime ended up spiking in New York City. We saw a 46% increase in homicides year over year.
Yeah, and that number is probably going to increase if Zohran Mamdani gets elected to their mayor. He's going to ruin it.
City of New York, which is the greatest year-over-year increase in the history of the city. And Mamdani has made it clear that he wants to take away
because he's going to take away funding from the police.
He wants to get rid of overtime, stop hiring new officers in order to fill the recruitment gap, and direct it to this Department of Social Services, which is going to be an absolute disaster. It's going to be terrible in the city of New York, and hope.
It's going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be a system, if it gets implemented, that's abused, misused. The money that goes into it will be so wasted that it'll be like, you know, spending hundreds of thousands to maybe even millions per individual, and that individual gets maybe like 1% to 5% of those actual benefits in dollar amount, and it's like, Really? Where'd the other 95% go? Because we all know where it'll go. In somebody's pocket.
Hopefully, Mamdani, the one silver lining if he wins, ends up driving away support for democratic socialists across the country due to how disastrous he is. But the thing is, typically it doesn't really work that way, because we thought the same thing would be true of Brandon Johnson. And while his approval ratings are in the absolute toilet, the fact is that didn't stop Mamdani from overwhelmingly winning the Democratic primary.
When a person was shot doors from my house, I realized how important my crusade is of removing illegal handguns off the streets of New York. Hi.
Illegal handguns, like you know where to find them, and that you can actually get them off. Gun control will not really work in the United States so long as we have states that exist that have awesome gun rights, like Texas and Florida, where, you know, you can open carry a freaking tank. It's like, come on. If I can go to Texas or Florida and buy a carload worth of ammunition and guns and such, and just drive across state lines carefully and quietly and have nobody pull me over and notice, and then I get to New York, and maybe I've got 50 handguns in the trunk and I'm ready to unload a bunch onto your population. It's like, it would be really easy to just immediately flip this back around and have someone who's a gun dealer coming in illegally and make a big profit. Gun control won't work.
Hi, I'm New York State Senator Eric Adams, and for 22 years I wore a bulletproof vest and stood on the street corners and protected.
In America, you should never have to wear a bulletproof vest just doing your day-to-day job, unless you're going into like gang areas as a police officer undercover or something.
Children and
Then
families
maybe.
in the city of New York. I'm asking you to join me in this crusade of removing illegal handguns off our streets.
You should remove illegal aliens off the streets instead.
And out of our homes.
Now, with all that being said, I think it would be wonderful if we decided to say our farewells to Mayor Eric Adams, and I could think of no better video for us to show in order to give as an example of how goofy Eric Adams was than when Eric Adams was explaining to parents out there how to search the home for illegal guns and illegal drugs.
Oh, no.
Because that happens
I think
to
I've
be
seen
one
this
of the funniest
one.
videos of all time.
What I would like to show here is to empower parents on how to search a room inside their home. It's imperative that you should know what's inside your household. And no one can state that you can't search a room in your own home. You write the Constitution. There are no First Amendment rights inside your household.
So look, there is a lot of hilarious stuff in this particular video. First and foremost, we have the dramatic music, but one of the things that is always top of mind, in my opinion, is that Eric Adams, who is a police officer who would deal with the Fourth Amendment multiple times, he's somebody who is a borough president, a state senator, and ultimately would become our mayor, is talking about how you write the Constitution in your own house, and there's no First Amendment protections from searches and seizures unless you say so. Again, we had a guy who became mayor of the city of New York, a guy who talks about a learning disability that he allegedly overcame, not knowing, despite
Fun fact, he did not overcome it.
years on the police force, that it is the Fourth Amendment that protects against search and seizures, not the First Amendment. Again, how stupid can you be?
So if you come to a room like this, you can start out, I always recommend to start out in a periodic fashion.
He's wrong. The drugs are in this computer mouse on the desk. It was hollowed out. It's a fake mouse. It just sits there during the day while the real mouse is tucked up under the shelf.
So you'll be used to going through the room to look at the various items in the room. You can look in the jewelry box. A jewelry box of this nature, maybe a simple jewelry box, but if you look through it closely.
No, we just put... We don't put jewelry boxes in our rooms. That ain't there even. But what is that lotion doing there? That baby oil.
You don't know what your child may be hiding. For instance, a gun could be hidden. A small caliber weapon could be hidden inside a jewelry box. Look at the various colognes and perfumes and photos and pictures.
What does he mean colognes? Those are just water bottles.
You should always, when your child brings in his popular knapsack with many different locations, look through it to see what exactly.
Oh yeah, mistrust your child. That's a great way to wind up in a retirement home that doesn't treat you perfectly as an elderly man. I bet you your kids fucking love you.
Exactly is your child carrying in addition to a book? Something simple as a crack pipe, a used crack pipe. Could he have found it on the street? That's quite possible.
Buddy, that's a straw.
But this is a
It's not a crack pipe. We use that to snort our cocaine. Get it right.
discussion piece where you should start speaking with him to find out what is he doing with it and the whole use of drugs. This invokes conversations. Look at picture frames and behind them, cameras. Try to determine what's taking place. Behind a picture frame, you can find bullets. What does that mean to find bullets? Does it mean your child is carrying a gun? No. Where there's smoke, there's possible fire.
I genuinely
Ugh. The room doesn't even look like a child's room. It looks like a man's office.
love this. I love everything about it. The fact that he's finding bullets, the fact that he's finding a crack pipe, the fact that all these different various things are just in and around the premises. And this is meant to be a legitimate instructive video for you parents out there on how to search your child's area in order to figure out if they have guns or weapons.
How did this man become mayor? He's so... I don't want to say retarded, but he's so retarded. I don't have any better word for it.
And I also love when he plants drugs in a baby doll's butt and then pulls them out.
As simple as a baby doll. Could be just a baby doll, but also it could be a place where you can secrete or hide drugs.
And of course, when Mayor Eric Adams finds a gun,
He just gave drugs to a minor, man. Arrest him.
a firearm,
That's minor
in a
in
pillow,
possession.
and then says it's a conversation piece.
Run your hands over the pillows and see if you feel anything that's unusual. Like a pillow like this where the button is a perfect invitation to hide something. And I felt something bumpy. I would reach in, see what it is. This one could be hidden inside a pillow, a gun. Maybe something that you'll think that can't be hidden there, but it can. And what happens not only when the person who is carrying this illegal gun is in possession of it, but also a child that comes into the room and plays on the bed, they find this gun. Let me tell you what a child would do. A child would take this gun, and because the trigger pull is so hard, they know.
How do you know what a child would do? Have you been hanging out with children? Have you been asking them weird questions? Mayor Eric Adams, do we need to check your hard drive?
Normally take the gun and they point it in their direction to pull down on it.
Just jokes. Just jokes.
So many gun accidents take place merely because a child discovers a gun in the room and believes it's a toy and they play with the gun.
Again, A+ stuff, first class all the way. Mayor Eric Adams, there's rumors that he's going to be the ambassador to Saudi Arabia. I don't know why he's not the ambassador to Turkey. They were the nation that was allegedly bribing him. But if he doesn't want to do that, he definitely has a career on SNL.
Just look and see what's inside your bookcases. It could be more
Yeah, SNL would be great, because then not many people would watch him anymore.
than just books. Perfect place to hide cocaine or other illegal substance inside the room.
He should
Perfect
go
place to
for it.
hide this bag of flour.
He would be the funniest person on that show in decades, and I think we would all appreciate it. So yeah, while we will examine the polling numbers when they refresh, when we see how people react to the new status quo a little bit later, but as of right now, I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. Does this actually change anything? Do you think Cuomo can overtake Mamdani? Do you think that the socialism will be so bad in the city of New York that it will actually drive away other candidates from running in this direction? Again, all your thoughts down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more.
Yeah, like, subscribe to both Actual Justice Warrior and my channel. We are both here to go over stuff like this. He makes videos and then I'll watch his videos. Thanks, buddy. You can accuse me of stealing content, but you can't say I don't add nothing when I turn 18 minutes into 34. Anywho, I'll let you get on with your evening and have a good one. Goodbye.